Now, going on to the business blunder of the day, you have Kia Hyundai to recall about 6 million vehicles due to a fire risk. Now, for those who aren't gearheads or in the automotive community, Kia and Hyundai for many years are actually the same company and they're different brands of the same company. So very similar to how General Motors owns both Cadillac as well as Chevrolet, as well as GMC and Buick. It's the same parent company, but different brands and different individual vehicles. Incidentally, they share a lot of the components because that's a great way to save cost. Now, specifically, they're actually recalling about 6.4 million of their vehicles, and this is thanks to the OG resource, good old Yahoo Finance, which I might be dating myself, but that was the OG search engine, as the youth might say, or as the retirees or old folks like myself might say. Now, this comes to us after U.S. safety regulators earlier said that they had opened a probe into 16 separate recalls issued by Hyundai and Kia covering 6.4 million vehicles related to brake fluid leaks that could result in fires. Looks like the Korean automakers have issued a string of recalls since 2016 for anti-lock braking systems and hydraulic electronic control units, issues manufactured by the same parts supplier. The National Highway Traffic Association Safety Administration said it is opening up an audit query to evaluate the timeliness of Kia Hyundai's defect decision-making, quote, and adherence with reporting requirements and understanding the varying defect descriptions and remedies beyond these recalls. Between these recalls. Hyundai said that it is, quote, fully cooperating with NHTSA and puts the safety of our customers and employees on its top priority in everything we do, unquote, and they will, quote, will work closely in cooperation with the NHTSA review. Now, Hyundai also noted that in September, it reports of 21 fires and 21 other thermal incidents since 2017, while Kia had reports of at least 10 confirmed fires and melting incidents. Kia said that the HECU in the vehicles may experience electronic short that may result in brake fluid leaks. Hyundai said that the ABS module may leak brake fluid internally and cause electronic short. Now, the U.S. units of Hyundai and Kia in November 2020 agreed to a record $210 million civil penalty after the NHTSA said that they failed to recall 1.6 million vehicles for the engine issues in a timely fashion and had inaccurately reported some information. So again, one of the downsides of automobile companies, not all, but a majority of them, they don't make a lot of components of the vehicle. They use a myriad of suppliers, which many would argue actually have to these days because vehicles have become so complex and have so many components in them. And again, you need to make sure you test those parts thoroughly, case in point with this instance, because no matter what subcomponent you're using, maybe it's a Bosch piece of electronics, or maybe it's a Tata engineered airbag, at the end of the day, the consumer really doesn't care who made that component. Your logo and your brand is on the hood and the rear. Or if you're BMW, it's all over because they put the badges everywhere. But nevertheless, the consumer's perception is that Hyundai and Kia are the ones making this an issue. It's their problem. Which, it's rough because it looks like that specific component, as noted in this report, that was a supplier. That wasn't actually a Kia Hyundai. Traditionally, you see a lot of automobile companies, they'll manufacture their engines, their transmissions, a lot of the powertrain, with the exception of stuff like the Toyota Supra, BMW. But nevertheless, it's one of the downsides of when you have such a diversified portfolio of suppliers, all those different pieces coming together, you just need to have extra testing, extra processes in place to actually endurance test these and make sure they're reliable over time. But there's so many components, inevitably, it is unfortunate sometimes things slip through the cracks, which I believe is one of the reasons why they say cars are now more reliable than ever. In some ways, yes, but statistically, no, because they have a greater number of recalls than cars made decades ago, partially because they become so complex with so many extra components, which is partially why I'm a little bit of an old soul. I prefer to have very little doodads, knickknacks, and what have you in the vehicle. Personally, I'd rather just have 3 pedals, a good old manual transmission, and internal combustion engine, with at most a luxury maybe including something like a heated seat and a CD player. Anything beyond that, I don't know. To me, the reliability issues gets into it because more and more things can break. But that's just my 3 cents in that regard. So let me know in the comments, do you think this will dent the integrity or the brand perception of Kia and Hyundai? I mean, they've made huge strides in the past couple of decades. They used to be the butt of every joke in the 90s because the build quality was so poor. Thanks to German engineering, and it's because they actually had some German executives go from Volkswagen to Kia Hyundai, they've become much more competitive and actually beating the competition in many ways. And to this day, have one of the best warranties, bar none, for their powertrain. I believe it's still the industry best at like 10 years, 100,000 miles, is unparalleled in the automotive community. So let me hear. I'd love to hear what you have to say. But again, when you've made such a good turnaround as a company, you're having more innovation, you're making your vehicles more reliable. To have this type of instance where you actually have a recall, that's got to be the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Don't forget to take the time to really write a couple good comments. In terms of the feedback, is greatly appreciated, even if it's harsh. I always say, even if it's a harsh critique, that's how you grow the most. Also, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of November. So if you can click that button, I would especially appreciate it. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.